Hello, hello. How are you all doing? Bear with me. I'm just getting used to all of these technical things. Hopefully you can see me. Can you hear me okay? Can somebody give me a wave? Let me know that I'm being received. Super. Thanks, Trisha. Great stuff. Lovely to see you all. Oh my goodness, there's so many people turning up. This is the most amount of people I have seen for quite some time, having been living in the fields of Ireland over the last few years. This is really lovely to see all of your faces. So um, just letting a few more people in here. If you wouldn't mind, please just having your side of the tech on mute just to help with the smooth flow of the recording. That would be really appreciative. Thank you. Just pop in a few more people in the room and we'll get started. I hope you're all well from wherever in the world that you're calling from. I think the chat's enabled, so
Mm-hmm.
hello. If you want
Yes, it looks like.
and in the chat and let us know where it is that you're calling in from, that would be really great to see where in the world everyone is, because I know I've got a few connections in Australia and County Mayo in Ireland. Thanks, Ash. Nice to see you. And UK, a couple of people from the UK. That's great. Amazing. There's a couple of new faces on here I haven't recognized, and some people from down in Margaret River, Perth. Amazing, really beautiful. I'm so honoured and delighted to have you all here in this sacred cave, this sacred space, to share with you today this incredible masterclass into bone reading. So some of you have already come and seen me, or we've had sessions online where you've had your bone reading and are keen to find out more. And for some of you, this is the first time that you might have come across it. And for plenty of people, they've heard of it before, but might not have had the experience of it and every which way in between. So County Sligo as well. That's great. Sorry, I'm squinting. I don't think my contact lenses aren't as strong as they need to be. Bettina, lovely to see you. Hi, guys. Hi, Lorraine. Welcome. I'm just going to pop you on mute there. Great stuff. So we'll get started in a few seconds. Just to kind of leave any um, leave any questions to the end. Probably there's a good chance I'll be able to talk into some of your questions as the chat goes on. But we're just going to be online for 90 minutes. This is going to be, it's all recorded, so you can always come back and take another listen. But my intention today is to share with you this beautiful ancient technique of bone reading. And I don't just want this experience to be visual and a listening experience, but also a transmission as well. With the magic of the bones, there really is an opportunity to experience a deep healing and connection to something much greater than what our ordinary senses would allow us to perceive. And my intention today is that you receive that transmission and that what we talk about today and what we share really does activate a sense of kind of primordial knowing within you, like activate some kind of deep knowing and a deep connection to something that's already kind of present in all of us. Was as we delve into the bones a little bit more, you'll see how deeply connected we are to this particular practice of divination. So we're now at 5 past. So what I'd like to do before we start is just before we begin is just to take a few moments together, and I want to take a few moments just to allow us to breathe together. So, to connect to our community with breath is incredibly powerful. And even though that we're in all different parts of the world, that we can have this common unity, this community, and breath is a great way to access that. So, I just want to invite you again. This is just an invitation, so you don't have to participate if you don't want to, but just to kind of close your eyes down and settle now into your space. And just allow yourself to begin some slow, deep breaths in through the nose and just filling that belly up with air. And whenever you're ready, just to exhale all the breath out of your body. And just find your own rhythm with this breath. Nice deep breaths in and out. And just really settle into the space right now. Breathing with one another. Connecting to your brothers and sisters in this group and all from all over the world. And just let the day, the week, the month, perhaps even some of the life that you've had just melt away in your breath. And as you settle back into the wave of your life, soften the jaw, soften the roof of your mouth, allow the tongue to soften. Relax your forehead and feel any tension drain away from the crown, the top of your head. And continue with your own natural rhythm of breathing. And just bring your hands together and gently rub them just to bring in some life and heat into the hands. And the invitation now is to start to begin to wake up your senses, tap in the face and the lips, perhaps running those fingers over your cheeks, up into the forehead, waking up the senses in the brain, the mind, the chakras. Bring the hands to the top of the head and wake up the crown. Move your hands down to your ears, maybe massage the ears, wake the ears up. And if you'd like to start to begin to activate non-ordinary senses, you can start by moving your hands down your neck and start tickling the back of your neck. This is an incredible receptive point energetically for you to be able to openly receive transmissions and to hear and to receive beyond your ordinary senses. It's a really beautiful way of activating channeling or trance-like states, which are needed for bone reading and other forms of divination as well. And if you like, the invitation is now with your eyes closed, just to kind of imagine, if you're able, some great big stag or reindeer antlers growing out of your head. Allow them to grow and stretch out into your environment. And as they grow, kind of experience what it would be like to be able to listen and hear and sense through these antlers. And just to see in this moment whether you can experience your environment with a little bit more sensitivity of hearing, of sense, of touch, of vibration. And allow your breathing just to regulate back to normal breaths. And whenever you're ready, just to slowly open your eyes. Great stuff. Hi, Samantha. Thanks for joining us. Hi. So for those who do know me, I won't, you'll already know what I'm about to say, but for those who don't, my name's Tracy Marie, and I'm from the Wild Woman Project, and I am, amongst many things, a bone reader, an oracle, a mystic. I'm also a Kundalini yoga teacher, trance posture facilitator, an aromatherapist, a spiritual coach. And one of my great passions is bone reading, because it encompasses all of the things that I teach in one beautiful way of being able to bring around insight to people with regards to the guidance that they're looking for in their life. And this masterclass today is to kind of give you a very brief and general introduction into what that might look like, a little bit about the history of bone reading, the kind of culture and the different cultures around the world that use or have used bone reading, and what stands bone reading apart from other forms of divination as well. And if somebody's game at the end, I'd love to do a short bone reading for somebody, and people can actually watch how that process works to some degree, and can kind of witness if somebody's prepared to kind of offer their energy up for the purposes of this teaching exercise. It's a really beautiful way of seeing how the bones interact with one another and how stories can be elicited from them. So like I say, if any questions and answers, if we can keep to the end, if we've got time, but you're very welcome to welcome to use the chat. It's not necessarily something that I'm going to be able to monitor. I'm having to navigate all of this technology and being relatively new to this amount of people online. So you're very welcome to chat amongst yourself. And if I am able, I'll check in with that. But so first of all, for those who are very new to kind of divination and readings, and if you haven't delved into that kind of world, you might have had a reading, but the word divination is like the practice of seeking insight or guidance or knowledge from the seen, the unseen, and the unknown. So it's there's many different techniques out there. There's many different modalities that allow you to access or to use divination. So you use pendulum use. There's tarot cards, oracle cards. There's channeling, tea leaf reading, cacao reading, all sorts of different methods. Scrying, people can read, as I can, they can read patterns in water or in nature as well. Um, Even animal remains are used in some cultures, and several different techniques that I'll share with you shortly to be able to divine. So it's using a tool to be able to elicit some form of story from, which is understood to be able to shed some light on the seeker's questions or life's journey. And it's a really, really powerful way of accessing what is unseen. Um, and what might not necessarily be obvious to the seeker, and it's a really beautiful way of accessing that. Like I say, there's so many different techniques out there. Obviously, the main theme of this one is the bone reading. So the bone reading is a form of different divination, and it uses bones or other small sacred items which come from the earth, or perhaps trinkets that you have in your own collection. So um with regards to the particular meanings that each one of these bones holds, it's up to the mystic or the reader to assign meaning to these bones. Now, some bones have very obvious meanings. For example, I've got my bones here. I wonder if I can show you a few examples. So, for example, one of my bones is actually a key. So, for me, what's obvious to me about this particular bone is that it opens doors. So, if this was to appear in a reading, then it'd be really obvious to me that there's potential for new opportunities or new doors open in that particular area of someone's life. So, essentially, each one of the bones is assigned its meaning, and in the casting of these bones, the story comes alive depending on where these bones fall in relation to one another and in relation to the rest of the spread. Um, they have different different stories can be read from it. So in essence, the bones themselves are, whilst they are objects and tools of divination. Now, in the nature, in the understanding of bone reading, and from the ancient practices of bone reading, the bones themselves carry the essence of our ancestors and are animate in nature. And by animate, I mean that they are living things in themselves. So we treat our divination tools, our bones, as though they were people. They have a peoplehood to them. And with love, respect, and gratitude and reverence that we work with these divination tools, they are an incredible addition to our toolkit. But more so perhaps from my from the way that I work, I have a much deeper connection to them than I do perhaps my tarot cards or my oracle cards, because of the animation, because of the life that is kept within them. So because a large proportion of my bones come from the earth, I have pottery, I have shells, crystals. They all originate from the earth, and there's been millions of years of humanity prior to kind of me getting here. So these literally contain they literally contain our ancestors. So our bone collection is literally built from the essence, the minerals, and from the history and knowledge of our ancestors. So whilst there is a tool for our ancestors to communicate with us through, they are actually animate beings in themselves. So they are treated with great respect um, and reverence, deep reverence, and taken care of and cleansed and looked after and respected. And because of that relationship building, they become a really beautiful addition to a mystic's kind of toolkit, because they become our friends. And the bones, when they're cast, can provide such incredible guidance. Now, they can provide really deep ancestral guidance, life insights. They can answer questions, but also as well, they provide a really deep healing for the seeker. So because of the animacy, because of the life that's within these bones when they're cast and the stories that they tell, it's not just information that's being given to the seeker. There's a transmission, there is a healing, and there is also movement because of the breath that's breathed into these bones. There's life brought into the reading. So the seeker can ultimately experience the information that's being shared and be guided through the intuitive guidance that comes through from the ancestors, see new opportunities and stuff that comes out of the darkness and be brought into the light, but also experience profound healing. And there's some assistance and some movement of in areas of their lives that they might have actually been stuck in before. So now every practitioners will work with bones completely differently, and everybody's bone sets will look different. And there's some really beautiful ways of collating bone sets. You might have a set that's just dedicated to the oceanic energies. So there could just be all stones and bones and shells that have been found next to the beach, or you could have a really earthy kind of forest set. But mine are a collection from all over the world. I've got some really beautiful pieces from the North Sea beaches through to the Indian Ocean, all the way through to the forests, and also some trinkets from childhood. I've got some dice here, some die, I should say, which are actually from my childhood game of Yahtzee. So some real sentimental stuff as well. But they all have significant meaning to me, and that deepens my relationship with them because I know where they've all come from and what they represent, and it's a really beautiful relationship to cultivate. But it's up to the person who is the bone reader, the bone caster, to develop their own style. But there is some real fundamental, beautiful basics to kind of adhere to, in my opinion, before you get going. It's not just a case, which you can just throw stones with meaning. And of course, they're going to give you some sort of answer. But really, the ritual of bone reading binds us to the natural world. And because of that, there's such a deep connection and relationship that gets built. There's also an understanding of a deep respect and relationship that needs to be built, not just with the bones, but with the ancestors, the deities, the guardians, the elementals, whoever it is that you decide to work with when you're casting bones. Those relationships need nurturing. And by nurturing, what I mean is feeding literal food offerings to the ancestors, cultivating deep relationships, and also bringing that kind of the offerings of how we interact with our natural world around us, making that really bringing that part of ourselves out more and having deep connection to the natural world and live within it as a caretaker and with deep respect. And this is also an offering to the greater picture. And how I consider it is if the bones are friends or we're in relationship with the bones, and if we just keep taking energy from them and we keep taking, we keep commanding of the ancestors to give us messages and we keep demanding of the guardians to keep us safe and we're not giving anything back, that relationship, like with all relationships, if we don't, if we don't come at it with balance and love and commitment and offering, then it's not going to last very long. And it doesn't do us any favors energetically to not have that really beautiful relationship with the bones, our ancestors, and the guardians. So there's much more to it than just collecting odds and sods and chucking them across the table. There is a really beautiful practice underneath it, which does require respect, a little bit of knowledge, but also a lot of love as well. So bones themselves, I'm just gonna squint there at the time. So the bones themselves, it's such a rich background to bones. It's one of the um, most ancient form of divination. So it kind of predates tarot cards and all sorts of divination techniques. Mostly because it was the first thing that people could use, and because it was found in their natural environment. But the different cultures across the world have used them quite differently. The ancient cultures and also the wise cultures that remain on the planet now. But bone reading itself is it's known as bone divination or osteomancy. Excuse my pronunciation of that. It's not a word I would use very often, and it is found, like I say, in so many different cultures around the world. But the common thread through it all is that it connects us all to ancestors, spirit, to the natural world, and connects cultures across the planet as well. It connects us to ourselves individually. The bones and the divination technique connects us to ourselves. It connects us to our community. It connects us to our ecology and our environment and the natural world. And it also connects us to the greater cosmos as well. So some of the cultures around the world, for example, like the African origins, particularly the Zulu and Sangoma tribes. So they use bone readings to connect themselves to the physical and spiritual realms and to deliver messages of guidance and intuition. Now, my relationship to the bones has come from Celtic origins, but it has been heavily influenced by a Sangoma, so an African shaman who helped me to take my bones through ceremony and activate them to breathe the life into them, which has transformed my bone readings exponentially. It's such a wonderful process, and also was given permission through ancestral messages to be able to bring this form of bone reading out to Australia, but also into the Western cultures as well, because this is a um, form of divination that gives our ancestors a voice, also allows us to acknowledge that what we're building our future upon is the bone, from the bones of the past, and it's a huge acknowledgement to everything and everyone that's gone before us. So the ceremony that I went through to activate, to kind of breathe life into my bones, was done through the African Sangoma tradition, although my collection and my history with the bones is from Celtic Nordic background. So it's a beautiful blend. Um, so the indigenous American peoples, the native peoples of America, so they also use bones. And this is tied to the animistic, which is that all living things are alive and all have a personhood, that everything, whether it's living or non-living, still has a consciousness and is to be treated as though we would treat another human being, and also their shamanic traditions. Now they use bones, which is not limited to my list at all, but for guidance on hunting, healing, spiritual and community matters as well. And often their physical use of animal bones, the bone readings embody the spirit of the animal as well. So a really, really powerful way of using bone divination. Um, the Asian bone divination, ancient China. So this is where a lot of the early development of oracle practices comes from the kind of Chinese lineage, and they would have had oracle bones, and they would have used shells and bones, much like I do, and they also use the divination technique to extract messages from the patterns in which the bones fall. And as I said, like the pagan beliefs that Northern European traditions are like the Celtic and the Nordic tribes. And for example, Nordic cultures would have used and still do use runes, and they would have carved symbols into bones or wood or other objects. And those symbols are the meaning of the individual bones. So whilst I have meanings for each one of my bones that's not carved in them, but that's what that's what ruins would be, just the meaning, the symbol on, blah, find my words, the symbols on the ruins are the meanings in which those bones represent. So um and um and also, so the Australian Aboriginal, the First Nations people of Australia, so they have a deep connection to spirit and to land and to the animals. And from what I understand through my research, they don't explicitly use bones, but they can use other sacred items and potentially animal remains as well to cast and gain insight into spirit and earthly matters and community matters from reading the way that these spreads have fallen on the way that they cast. And also, I understand that there is some methods that they use that use these techniques to help them to connect to dream time as well. So there's so many different beautiful stories and different ways of utilizing bone divination across the planet. And also, very beautifully, the Polynesian, the Oceanic practices, and they'll use sacred objects, bones. Actually, this tradition, they may use actual bones of their actual ancestors in their readings, or animals as well. And they use their bone readings to invoke protection, blessing, insights and guidance as well. So there is lots of different techniques, lots of beautiful ways of reading and using bones for divination. But essentially, the common thread between it all is this deep connection to spirit, community, individuals, to land, to the ancestors. And this is a common thread throughout all of these different cultures, throughout humanity. It's one thing that is in common is this deep, deep connection, this love and reverence for ancestral connection and the animate world around them as well. So um, now, for me, what really stands bones apart from these other forms of divination, and I kind of touched on it a little bit before, but it is this deep, direct connection to the ancestral lineage, um, not just of my own ancestral lineage, but the wider ancestral energy around us. So it's for me, working with the bones is like there's a space at the table in my life for people who have gone before and for the rich millions of years of human history that's happened prior to me arriving. And there's an incredible sense of belonging that comes with that deep connection. And also kind of really softens any experience of being in this great white world and this life experience as a human of being alone, when I am consistently surrounded by such incredible energy, working with ancestors, guardian spirits, elementals. My journey with this over the years has allowed my environment to just wake up around me. I can see things beyond my ordinary senses that before really working so deeply with the bones, I wasn't able to see. My whole world has come alive in ways that I couldn't have even imagined. And because the trance-like states that are recommended to get into before you do any sort of reading, bone reading especially, but trance-like states are light trance states. So what you're doing is putting yourself into a frequency which is outside the ordinary realms of perception. So ordinary realms of perception is like what you and I would be doing in everyday life. And of course, we use our ordinary senses to navigate that. But we're looking at being able to access some of the unknown, unseen realms. And to do that, we need to get out of the ordinary state of consciousness. Otherwise, what happens is we're just channeling from an egoic perspective. So it's just like what a higher aspect of my own self might be thinking should be said, as opposed to me becoming a conduit and a channel for these direct messages to come through me, rather than me having an opinion on what should or shouldn't be said during the reading. So these really light states of trance are really beautiful ways of accessing honest channeled guidance. And when we work in the realms of outside of ordinary consciousness, when we start working in light trance or even deep trance states, if we want to go down into these deeper states of being, we operate in alpha and theta, delta frequencies rather than beta, which is the ordinary state. And those extra frequencies that we get exposed to bring around profound healing within my own self, but also in the seekers that come for readings as well benefit from those frequencies being emitted. But I find it incredibly important to access trance states to ensure that the information that's coming through is legitimate and it's not just me waffling on. But also because things actually become more available to us. Our senses become extraordinary. We can see things without seeing, hear things without hearing, and using different. Oh, I'm just spare a minute. My screen's frozen. Hello, I'm back. Yeah, great stuff. Okay, lovely. Yeah, great. I don't know where I went then. Too much energy. So yeah, where was I talking about trance-like states? It's actually such a wonderful way to navigate. life. And if you are feeling stuck or do not feel awake enough experiencing your life, or wish your perception of the world to expand, then these trance-like states are the way to go, because it just brings around an um, incredible understanding of the potential of human potential, when we start to live in these extraordinary states of being, which our ancestors would have been consistently 99% of the time living in these extraordinary states of being, because they wouldn't have needed to have been in this ordinary state for very much of the day. Um, so that's one of the things that really stand out for me with regards to bone reading. Like I said, the other divination techniques are beautiful, absolutely wonderful, but this for me is what, really what makes bone reading stand out, is the fact that your sets are uniquely yours. They're a collection of items that are sacred to you, that have been collected over a period of time, or something that has deep meaning for you. And they're also evolutionary in themselves. So over time, you can add and take away. Meanings will you may alter within your bone set. So the bones themselves are kind of alive, and like I say, they're animate in nature, but they're dynamic. There's a dynamic nature to them, and you can personalize them. And as you change, the bones change, and as we grow, our sets grow, and different chapters and periods of our lives, then the bones can reflect that. And you can have different bone sets for different occasions. If you're really working in the watery realms, and you're working with intuition, and the emotional realms, you could have a bone set totally dedicated to the West. And like I said, the oceanic realms, that would be a really beautiful bone set to have. And there's also the connection there, and working with natural objects as well, which, that really makes my heart sing, that I'm actually working with things that, have come from the ground, and actually contain the very essence of the life and all the lives that have gone before us. Um, and like I say, with because of these states of being that we get into, is this the deep healing that comes through it, not just for the seeker but for the practitioner as well. Like, it's just incredible, the growth and the expansion that comes just by working in such deep relation to animate forces, animate beings, guardian spirits, and working with natural elements, and tools to bring around profound changes, not just to individuals, but also their families and communities as well, with a reverberation energy effect that these beautiful healings can have. Um, so what I'm going to do now, just going to take a breath, because that was a lot of talking. um, and we're going to go into, just in a few seconds now, I just want to just give everything that I've just said a chance to settle. And just let my words be a transmission, and just let yourself absorb what I've said. It's not necessary for you to be in agreement, or even to remember anything that I've said, but just let it sit with you, and take it on board. If that's an invitation to take on whatever you felt connected to in what I was saying, but to let go of anything that didn't really resonate with you at all. And because when we move on, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about guardianship and protection, which is really essential when working with all divination techniques and practices. And it's something that's largely missed, or kind of stepped over, or not considered to be very important. Or a common thread is, if I believe I have to protect myself against something, then I will cause the thing that I need to protect myself from to appear, which in itself is a form of guardianship. But because we're working with such ancient energies, it is really best practice to have a really good relationship with guardianship and protection. Because what we want to ensure is that, because we're in, I wouldn't say necessarily vulnerable states of being when we're in trance states, but there is an element of that. We want to ensure that we are providing ourselves the opportunity to be in a sacred, safe space, so we can allow ourselves to access these deep states of being, so that we can utilize our non-ordinary senses, so we can be discerning with the messages and information that comes through, so we can be energetically protected. Because when we step into these realms, there are plenty of energies out there that not necessarily bad, but they're not necessarily in service of humanity. And we could be quite tasty. Our energies are glowing, we're in altered states of consciousness, we're open, beautiful, shining vessels. And naturally, when the lights are on, the moths are attracted. And we just want to stop that from entering our space while we're in these divination zones. So we create safe and protected containers around ourselves. And this also allows for, like, it's not just on me to be discerning of messages. There are guardians around me that are allowing only what is in service of the seeker's higher self to come through. So it's not just my job then to keep everything, safe and the energy all great. I've got kind of like guardian beings anchoring around me, making sure that that if their name's not down, they're not coming in. Like my guardian bodyguards, my spirit team around me. And I use elementals and the directions to invoke sacred space. But like I said before, this isn't just a one-sided relationship. This is a relationship that gets built over time. And what we ask of them as well, to do this work on our behalf, then there's offerings that are made before readings happen, or ritualistically at the start of every day, creating a small amount of time to acknowledge the guardians, the elementals, and the ancestors for providing us with this sacred container to work in. And over time, the integrity gets built with this ritual practice. Now, integrity isn't conceptual. It is like, the more we do something, the more weight that it has. Now, there are invocations of protection that you can use from different lineages. I have some that I use when I start my Kundalini yoga, and there's particular mantras that I use before I start, because being a yogi, you're very open when you're on the mat and you need to protect your energy. And these mantras hold, like, they come from thousands of years. So they hold a lot of weight. They have a lot of integrity because they've been invoked many, many, many times. So they hold a lot of weight. And you can build that practice with yourself, with your own deities, guardians, whoever you choose to work with, if you do bone reading. And over time, that kind of relationship builds and the energy builds. The quality of the readings that you give are better and clearer and more defined. The more expansive your trance-like states can become, the more of a conduit and a vessel that you are, the deeper states of healing that you and the seeker can go through. So it's a really important relationship to cultivate. And it's a really beautiful way to start a reading as well, rather than just kind of going straight in. And again, it's really great to know that the information that's coming out of your mouth isn't just from some sneaky egoic part of your nature. It is actually coming from the place in which it's supposed to come from. So before we do any readings today, we're going to do a small little opening of sacred space. I'm going to call in I'll call in my big guns to hold the space for the reading today. So, and let's make sure I have got everything here. So yeah, now I'm just going to open the chat up. Oh, there's quite a few messages in here. Let me just see. I know we've had a few people saying, oh, we've got some people from Adelaide. Hello, hi. Coventry, Sligo, Margaret River. Lovely. Okay, so if there's anybody who'd like a reading, if you could just raise your human hand, not your robot electronic hand. And I'm just going to tune in here just to see where my energy is being drawn to. Thank you all so much for offering yourself up. So this is just an energy connection, so nothing to do with anything other than that. So Lorraine, are you there? Is that a hand? Lovely. Thank you. So are you happy for a short reading today? Great stuff. Do you mind? I'm just going to see if I can. Ooh, more people joining. Add a spotlight. Here we go. Hi, Lorraine. You're very welcome to unmute yourself. How you doing?
Good, thank you. And you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Where are you joining us from, Lorraine?
Perth in Australia.
Oh, that doesn't sound like a very Aussie accent.
No.
Lovely. Are you a reader yourself? Have you got any?
Yeah,
Yeah, super.
you probably tell from behind me.
Yeah, I'm zooming in a little. You have your own guardians all sat behind you in this as well. Come heavily protected. That's great. And have you ever experienced bone reading before?
Never, no. No, you were recommended from a friend, so
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's always good to hear. Thank you to your friend. Um, so I'm just going to get my space set up here. And just for the purposes of today's reading the ring, what we're going to do, so when people come for a reading, they can ask specific questions. We do tend to do a general reading in terms of like whatever it is that's in service of your higher self to come through. And then any specific questions that clarity is required in maybe some particular areas. And it's always really important to because once we activate the bones, we're going to breathe our intentions into them.
Mhm.
And so once the bones are cast, if somebody then says at the end of the reading, well, oh, what about my, this? It would have to do another spread. It's like, that you can open the bones up. Sometimes I use oracle cards and open the spread up, but it really is can be very specific. But we'll just do a short reading today. And if that's okay with you, just to invite in whatever's in service of your
yeah.
highest good for you to get some clarity of. Um, so before I've got another screen to open up, and you'll be able to actually see the bones once they're cast, as well as following me as well. So hopefully you'll be able to pick up, and I'll do my best for everybody else, just kind of start pinpointing and opening up, what it is that I'm looking at and what the meanings of the bones are, just so everybody has an idea of what a bone reading might look like, if that's okay. Great stuff. So, Lorraine, we're just going to open up some sacred space now. So if you'd just like to settle into where you're sat, and perhaps if you're comfortable to close your eyes and just take a deep breath in with me and out. In and out. And Lorraine, as you let your breathing regulate, I'm going to open up the space now by calling upon the guardian spirits, firstly of the east and the element of air, the bringer of clarity and wisdom to this reading. Hail and welcome. And we're going to call upon the guardian spirits of the south and the element of fire, the igniter of passions and strengths, and the clearer of ways. And hail and welcome. And we're going to call upon the guardian spirits of the west with the element of water that brings with it healing, balance, and intuitive guidance. Hail and welcome. And to the guardian spirits of the north and to Lorraine's ancestors, to the elements of earth, we call upon you into this reading today to ground and protect this space. Hail and welcome. We give you all our love, gratitude, and reverence for your service today. Please may you guide and protect this reading and provide clear and precise guidance in service of Lorraine's higher self and her life's journey. May you create a sacred container while we do our work today and only allowing energies that are in service for Lorraine's highest good to enter. Now we call upon Father Sky and the energy of the cosmos and our darling Mother Earth, the giver of all life, to create a sacred container around us all today, to ground this reading deep into the earth, and to bring with you any other guardians, spirits, elementals, or energies that wish to partake in this reading today that are in service of Lorraine's highest good, and to send away all those energies that are not back to their own divine light and source. And finally, we call upon the spirit and ether, and also Lorraine's highest aspect of self to this reading. May you use this opportunity to provide clear and precise guidance in service of Lorraine's highest good and to bring intuitive guidance to areas of her life that may need it. May you love and protect our dear sister Lorraine on her life's journey and to keep away on any unwanted energies that are not in service of this reading today. Again, we give our love, respect, and gratitude for all of your presences and assistance today. Hail and welcome. The circle is now open, never broken. So there's a much, when I'm working with my clients, I can probably go into it a lot deeper than that. But for the purpose of this reading today, that's enough just to kind of open and anchor in. I would have done some work earlier on today, invoking my guardians and my spirit keepers, just to ensure that the whole space in this Zoom call was, was taken care of today. But for the purpose of this reading, we do have now a circle and a sacred container to be able to work with. And I'm going to see if my technology skills are any good. Now, I don't know where this is now. Let's have a little see. Where are we? Anybody see the bone reading? There we are. Now, can everybody see three screens? Me, Lorraine, and the bones.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Lovely. So the bones are here. The bones are here. So this is my collection of bones. So there's loads of different ones in here, and each one has been assigned its meaning. I've got some bones in here that haven't got meanings assigned to them yet, and that's because they found their way into my bone bag. So they obviously wish to partake, but they've not yet let me know what it is that they want to represent. So they're just hanging around in the energy of the bones, and one day they'll let me know how they wish to partake. But we're going to activate the bones by welcoming them into our reading today, to give them our love and gratitude and thanks and deep respect and reverence for their service. Now, we wish to partake in a reading today to provide Lorraine with some deep and clear guidance and insight into areas of her life that need clarity. All that is in service of her highest good, and protecting her from any energies that are not in service of our highest good. Thank you for your presence today. Hail and welcome. And I cast by throwing. There's a few late starters coming out there. And hopefully you can see what probably looks like to most is just a pile of stones and bones. And it really does just look like that to begin with. So what I'm going to do, don't know if I can actually do this. If I press some buttons, it might all go wrong. No, I can't zoom in, unfortunately. But Lorraine, this main bone in the reading now, this represents you. So this long grey slate here, this is the U bone right at the center of the reading. And you have a fair amount of energy moving around you. But really, there's some very key points that I'm going to open up. Now, we're not necessarily going to be able to go into the full, the full hours reading, but I'll do my best to kind of compress and give you as much insight as I can. Now, the main theme of your reading is, interestingly, it's about moving forward with your connection to the ancestors, and also bringing to light things that bringing this into the light. So bringing this deep connection that you have with your ancestral lineage, whether that's through the physical ancestral lineage, your epigenetical connection, or your spirit connection to your ancestors. This is the ancestors bone here. And this bottle stopper moving forward is an indication for you to be moving forward with this. This shamanic tool is actually a beautiful Mongolian shaman protection tool. This is the indicator of like what the theme of this reading is. So that was what would draw me to the start of the reading and where to start. And it's about bringing some aspects of your ancestral connections to the light. So these could be your gifts, and they also could be so in our lives that we have our own hopes and dreams and personalities and ways of being. Absolutely we do. But we also get inherited ways of being as well, which are epigenetical hand-me-downs. But they're also they can be our hopes and dreams. Perhaps they've skipped a few generations, but perhaps some of your hopes and dreams tie up to your great 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 grandmother, and you don't realize that they're actually, and that's a hand me down as well. So you're expressing the lineage energetically through your hopes and dreams, but also gifts as well. So some of our gifts that we have been born with are inherited, and you may know where they've come from. For example, if you are intuitively minded, your mom or your dad might also have those beautiful gifts as well. So you might know exactly where you got your gifts from, but you might not. But it's about continuing to bring these, keep moving forward with this, whatever it is that fills your that you know is uniquely your passion with regards to your ancestral connections, those gifts, is to bring them forward into the light. But there are some things you are going to have to leave behind to be able to open new doors in this area. So there are maybe some things that you need to take a look at and consider, what is it that I no longer want to take forward with me into this new chapter? But new doors are literally on the horizon, very much in the east energy of your reading, which is the new dawn rising, new opportunities, new seeds planting, new doors opening. But it's not indicating to me. So this symbol, this stone, this bone here is a little lock gifted to me by my dear sister Ash. And that means that there's actually, it's not going to tell me exactly what it is that's going to happen to you on the other side. So it's not everything is supposed to be known. Some things, and the bones are very good. It's like, actually, it's not in your service for me to tell you exactly what this new door opening is going to be. But just to say that it's actually going to be an expansion of your comfort zone, and it's going to actually be a very much a very interesting journey, which is going to be really be igniting that kind of sacral chakra energy, that creative flow, real creative, passionate stuff. So this is about you. This little journey here is about you extracting or continuing moving forward with these inherited gifts that you've got, bringing them to light and leaving behind what no longer serves you, to allow you to pursue this wonderful opportunity, which is going to allow you to open up new doors. Step outside your comfort zone and unlock some kind of secret mystery in this area, some kind of some development that's going to occur, which I'm not I'm not privy to in this reading. But this journey that you go is going to burn away, this kind of letting go of something to be able to propel you into this new space. It's actually going to give you some insight into your well-being. Now, when I read bones, Lorraine, like when it comes to health, I don't get into diagnostics or physical side of things. Like, it's too much of a minefield. But I do deal with the energetics behind health. So like general well-being and physical well-being, but not on the kind of individual individual diagnosis in the body. So when I'm talking about health, I'm talking about, an improvement in your general well-being through this unlocking of this, or this discovery that's going to be made, but only on the other side of this door. But to access this door, you've got to give something up before you're able to move forward. Again, so you are actually surrounded by quite a lot of new opportunities. So there's new doors opening, but the crab's claw here is about new beginnings. And this beautiful shiny shell here is an indication of some lessons that you need to learn in terms of your relationship to new beginnings. So it's perhaps like a change in perception that's needed in terms of how they feel for you, especially as a lot of the time new beginnings are as the result of something having to have been given up. So often, for new things to grow, something has to die. And essentially, the whole world is built on the bones of the thing that went before it. Trees grow from the mulch of its fallen leaves, and it's that relationship to that cycle, a natural cycle of life. Is that for new opportunities to arise, sometimes we need to let go of things. But this is perhaps one of the lessons that you're going through, or have been through, or continue to go through in life, is the remembering of that, like actually to set in to self in terms of this reconnecting to the natural cycles of the cosmos, of nature and within yourself, and recognize that these things are meant to be this way. Things are supposed to go before new things can come. So interestingly, this is one of the sneaky bones that's found its way in. So I'm just going to sit with that because I'm not sure how it's presenting itself in this reading. And we're going to step a little bit to the south here to this little collection. So you read like you can read individual stories within the bones. And then what happens is, as you're reading these individual sections, then these stories come out, and then eventually the whole thing merges together. So this is about your home life. So this home bone represents home and what home represents to you. So home could be within yourself. It could be your physical home, your country, whatever, because we work on the individual, community, ecology, cosmos within bones. So it's multi-layered, multifaceted. But what it is in absolute, the energy connection is actually kind of let me just find some words here. So it's this bone here is the abundance bone, and I like it when it's this way because it's gold side up, which is really indicative of some really great energy. And abundance can be money, however you relate to abundance, so lots of something. So, and this is the other half of the health bone. So the health bone actually smashed, not in this reading, but in another one. And I've left it that way because it's actually what's inside these two bones really does indicate what brings you in, what balances your health, what's contributing to good health or perhaps bad health. But the abundance bone here represents that your relationship to your home is, that as long as you feel, if you're feeling safe, your root chakra is all sorted, and you're feeling connected to yourself and your home and your community, this is really, really beneficial for your health. This is something that enables you to thrive. And although there is perception here, so whatever this bone here, this is actually an Irish 2P, if you can see, it's very lovely. And one side's the harp and the other side's the birds. Now, this bone in my reading represents whether aspects of the reading are fated or not. Now, it's very rare for the fated side of this bone to come up. We live in a generation of change, immediate change, instant change. And if we were reading 50, 60 years ago, you go to a reader, they go, okay, in 10 years, this is going to happen. You're going to marry you're going to meet someone, and this is, because there wasn't as much change way back then. Now anything's possible. So the fated bone very rarely comes up. So none of this reading is fated. Like, you don't have to. It's only an invitation to listen to me. It's not like, oh, you have to do these things. But this is just an indicator that actually your experience of self and home is very healthy. It's indicating that regardless of what you think sometimes, you're actually doing a really good job of creating that experience for yourself, regardless sometimes of what thoughts may be coming through. And there's also to if that is something, if at any point that your mind does get involved in trying to convince you that that's not the case, it's just to slow them thought processes down, and to invite the elements in. Sometimes when we get overactive minds, that we need to stop feeding those. It's kind of a form of possession when those thoughts come into our heads, and we kind of start feeding them, and then they get worse and worse and worse. And this is just an invitation for you. If anything comes in to kind of upset your peace, especially when it comes to the home self and the house self, is just to slow all that down, and I mean, it's to a point of stop, and to just to observe, to see whether you are feeding those thoughts, if you are actually giving them life, and whether you can just let them go. You use the element of air to get them out of your head. Go and stand in the wind and let the wind take them away. I've said this, a few of you will probably recognize what I'm about to say now, but we know when we go ground ourselves, we put our feet in the ground, we actually have a physical experience of feeling grounded. And that's because our connection to the earth activates the earth element within us. And I don't mean that woo-woo. It's like we actually contain the minerals of the earth within us, and the connection to the earth activates the earth element within us, which is why we feel grounded. And we can utilize the other elements as well as the earth, because we have all of those beautiful elements inside of us. Being one of them, we have breath. So if thoughts which are related to the air element are too much for you, go stand in the wind, and when the wind touches you, it activates the air element, and it actually you have a somatic experience of clearing out thoughts. Not just, oh, I need to calm my thoughts down. It's like, utilize the elements to help you in activating the physical clearing the air through your brain. And it's the same with fire. If you want to burn something away, like go and stare into the fire whilst you're considering what it is. Like, it could be an old way of being, or a particular trait or belief system, or whatever it is that you just don't want to carry forward with you in life anymore. Take it to the flame, because you can consciously heal. But if you don't somatically release, if you don't burn the thing away from inside of you, you're still going to be carrying it in your body. So take whatever it is that you need to clear to the flame. And going back to this part of your reading here, Lorraine, as well, the fire element's right amongst it. So whatever it is that you're feeling that you need to give up, take that to the flame. You don't have to think your way out of all of this. Sometimes it's a case of just utilizing the elements and having a somatic release of whatever it is that you need to clear up. And you don't have to think your way through it. And water here. So we're going to go into the water element up here. So this is to do with our emotions, intuitions, and this is about your. So let me just find my words. Also, a really interesting thing. So because this is an animate reading, so the reading's alive. Now, if I just stared at it, I wouldn't get any information come through. Sometimes I have to start speaking, so the actual words coming out of my mouth. Sometimes I stumble and I say very basic words at the beginning of sentences, but it's that the animation, the actual movement of my breath and the sound and the vibrations of my voice causes action, causes causes the channel to activate, and then the flow that comes after the stumble is the guidance, you know. So if you any of your readers, if you ever find yourself going, oh, don't know what to say, just say something because that unplugs it and off it comes out. Like, it's a really beautiful technique. But because readings are animate, the energy and downloads and channeling that you all get in your work, because it's animate in nature, it needs life, and life is breath. So use your voice and get it out. So this area up here is relating to your community cup. It's about the need to fill it. So there's an entanglement around your community energy, which is involved. It's a very interesting mix. So whilst the community cup is something that you need to fill, there's some emotional stuff that's going on there. It's not indicating anything out of the ordinary or anything to be concerned about, Lorraine, but it's an invitation to use your intuitive guidance to connect to the spirits, to your spirit and to your soul, to guide your way through community issues as well, to navigate the imbalance of any energies within your wider community as well. This is going to take intuitive and spirit guidance to help you navigate bringing around any balances that are needed in that kind of immediate community. Community can be family, it can be your wider friendship circles, it could be your spiritual groups. But this is about that kind of the keeping that energy moving in those areas. And but also it is a huge pull on bringing your own intuitive guidance, trusting that, to balance any unsteady emotional waters in your community as well. There's a strong masculine energy influence in that disruption in your community. I don't know if that resonates with you. And by masculine energy doesn't necessarily mean a guy, but it could be like the structural masculine energy. There could be too much structure in your community and not enough flow. There could be a lot of rules and not enough creativity. And this is where you're coming into it, bringing breath, breathing this life of this kind of this sacred flow, this intuitive spirit that you can bring will help to unlodge, because people can get very much trapped in their emotional beings if they're under too much rigidity. And we're all living in cultures and societies now where there's kind of a lot of that going on. There's a lot of rules and not a lot of love, and there's not a lot of magic, and there's a lot of rules. And there's a lot of ways we've got to be. So this is just an invitation here, just to kind of keep that magic flowing within you, just to kind of, and it is essentially always going to create waves when you do that. But the purpose of this here, this is an invitation for you to move forward. And this little beautiful flute here, this little flute man, I'm just checking the time there because I can talk. I know I can talk a lot. Um, this is about, we've got so many examples on how to move forward here, but I do love to incorporate a lot of different variations of movement, new beginnings, or new opportunities, new doors opening, or how to move forward, or because it's all well and good knowing this information, but what do you do about it? Or what's next, or where am I going? And so I'm not getting like mad personal into this reading because Lorraine's going to be, on Zoom immortalized. So that, the kind of the personality depth of this reading is not a layer that I'm going to go mad into on this one. But there is a level, like, to move forward is to continue this work. So this is a guardianship and protection. So moving forward in life, you the moving forward bone is on top of another shamanic axe, which is external influences, which can be people, um, it can be, hang on, find my words, people, it can be the planets, it can be the government, it can be the economy, but this is to protect yourself. This is a strong sense of guardianship, And I don't mean by walls, I mean guardianship is like, I use this analogy a lot, but it's a beautiful castle, will still have a moat around it. And it's like you can come, but you've got to cross a few barriers before you're allowed in if you are worthy of entry, rather than a big wall around the castle. So it's about being discerning, about not allowing the external influences of others to affect you in being able to move forward. Now you can see this bone reading starts to cycle in itself. So I've segmented it up, but moving forward and protecting yourself against the external influences of others ultimately allows you to move forward with this deep connection to this ancestral gift that you have as well. So to be able to, it's almost like you've got to drown out the noise of the external world to be able to move forward with this, because there's too much noise. You can't connect to, you can't follow this beautiful gift to the degree in which you're being asked to. And remember, these are messages from the ancestors, so it might not necessarily be something that drops in us straight away. So, oh, I don't know what she's talking about. But this is what's been asked of you. This is how the ancestors are seeing it for you. They're calling you to connect with them so that you can realize a deeper experience of yourself with this gift, so you can bring it to the light to be of benefit to other people and yourself. But they won't tell me what that is yet. Now, just this little part of the reading here, and I know I'm talking quick and rushing through, but I am very conscious of the time. So this is really this beautiful heart quartz here. This is about your soul, your heart's expression. And this is your internal influences, and this hagstone here is about you. This is about your journey to wholeness, and this is about you really listening to yourself. Like there's nobody else that can tell you what's in your heart or what your soul is wanting to express in this lifetime. Now, from the looks of what's going on around you in your beautiful healing space there, you are very much in the flow of expressing that beautiful connection that you already have. But this is really kind of offering confirmation that only you know. Don't let anyone else tell you what it is that you're here to do. This is your journey to complete, to feeling complete. Your journey to wholeness is only yours, and nobody else's. There's not a single soul, not even me telling you on this reading, can tell you what your journey to wholeness is. But you know, you already know, and it's just some confirmation, should you have ever had any doubt, to trust that internal connection that you have to your own heart's desires. If it isn't something that you're very clear on at the minute, this journey, this connection to this ancestral, this deepening this connection to the ancestral energy, is going to open up more of that trust and connection to your own innate ability to know what will lead you to wholeness. And if there is any illusions around what it is, then just remember those stories are illusions. So I was speaking to somebody the other day, and they said to me, they're looking for the missing piece of the jigsaw. And I said, if I gave you that missing piece of the jigsaw, you'd still be looking for it. Like it's the story about having a missing piece of the jigsaw that is keeping you in the illusion that you're not complete. There's nothing that's incomplete about you. So do negate anything that's preventing you from recognizing that you are already perfect, whole, and complete exactly as you are. There's nothing missing, that you're not stuck. There's nowhere for you to go other than to be an expression of your true soul desires and your your full soul's expression. That's all you're here to do. There's nothing, there's nowhere to be, there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to find. You have everything that you need within you, and don't let any of those internal influences tell you otherwise. It's just an illusion to keep you in the ordinary. And this journey itself, this is this illusion, if there is any aspects of this illusionary self telling you that there's something missing or you're not quite complete or whatever it is that the story is being told, that recognition that that is an illusion to keep you in the comfort zone of life, if you're able to step beyond that, you're going to be able to access some deeper hopes and dreams that you have for yourself. Because unfortunately, these illusions are kept in place to keep us in these boxes, for the purpose of which is to keep us safe, But nothing grows in safe. If the shell never came off the seed, the new tree would never grow. So whilst it does protect the seed for some time, it still has to crack for life to occur. And that's the illusion. The illusion is the shell around the seed. If there is any tight shells around this relationship to completeness that you have with yourself, allow it to crack open, and that will grow into something. And it will also help you move forward into realizing your dream. Now we've got a couple of other bones that are on the peripheral, and they're not really connected to any of the deep, because there's obviously something else to be read, which is much much grander for the time limit that we've got. So the work bone's kind of a bit out on the limb, and there's some elements out here that, so if I was doing a full reading, because some of the bones are tied up in the rest of the reading over here, which was necessary for the reading to have taken place, but they are not available to open up these parts of the reading. So perhaps now I might get some oracle cards out, or I might have brought more bones to the table, to be, so a much bigger bone reading. So that's how I would open up different parts of the bone reading. And it really, so the way I've read here, Lorraine, like, it depends, like some bones have multiple meanings. And with deeper training and kind of connection, they can talk to you in different ways. These two bones here, I just want to add, because I never picked that up, like, these two are this is what's bringing you in balance. These are what's kind of keeping you in health balance. But what's going to actually bring you into more balance than you've realized in a long time, is this leaving behind of something to allow you to open new doors. Like, it's really going to bring something into incredible balance. What that is anybody's business. You'll have to let me know what that is when it's revealed. But that is actually going to be a journey for you into bringing you into a balance that you've not even experienced before. So I do look forward to hearing that. But depending, like, this sacrifice bone here, that depends on which way it falls, depending on whether a sacrifice is needed or not, and also which way round shells go and how they lay upon one another. And sometimes they cluster into little stories, and then they open themselves out into bigger chapters. And sometimes you need the assistance of oracle cards, because the symbols in the oracle cards, they provoke the animacy, they provoke the life, which then provokes the reader, which then shares the story. So they're all they are is like symbolic nudges. Not necessarily the words on the oracle cards. It could be the pictures or the colors or the position, or just the animacy of it just then sparks the next flow of the reading. So they're really dynamic in nature. And they're really like, I've never met you before, have I, Lorraine? I don't think we've met. So I have no clue whether I've actually said anything of any value, or if it's made any sense to you. So I'd love for everybody, just if you give me some honest feedback there in terms of how that reading went before we close down the energy there.
It was good in the sense of, like, I can understand where you were going with the I need to let something go for moving forward. And it is very what's the word? It's very, I know I need to let it go, because if I don't, it's going to keep holding me back, because it keeps triggering. And as you said, in the head, it keeps triggering one thing in particular. And it's weird, but today, just like working through things, I found that something I said resonated with that. And it's like, that's allowing me now, like, to feel that I can now move forward. Just be saying what I said to a person that I was talking to today, it hit home at me. So yeah, that sense it was. I mean, I can tell you what it is if you want.
No, that's completely up to you. That's amazing feedback anyway, that I'm glad something connected with you in that.
Yeah. But I'll be honest with you, it was the death of my son that's held me back, and it's what got me into this doing what I'm doing now. And from moving forward, I was very, very stuck. And my development coach and the girls that have worked alongside me have been absolutely amazing and helped me move forward with that. So I'm now at a stage where it was actually something that my coach had, she took me into a meditation, and it just clicked on me where that journey wasn't meant to take, it was my son's to take, but I had to move forward. And just talking to somebody today who'd gone through some serious domestic violence, had we spoke about like loss of both things, and she, like, I'd said to her, you know, like, that loss for me, I didn't think I could have got on with it, but I realised, and it was today, it just hit really strongly that although that was his journey, he was there getting me through what I had gone through as for serious bullying, and I've only now realised that he got me through that part of my life, and I'm now ready to move on with the next part. So I totally get what you were saying there.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, and I'm so sorry to hear that you've been your journey and for the loss of your son. And that's incredible that you have come to a place where you've been able to get some deep healing and learning for yourself and some growth as well, which is a really beautiful gift. It's
Yeah,
come
yeah.
through.
Thank you for that. It really did resonate with me. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now there are some extra bones around here that I haven't read. But perhaps when we go offline as well, I can make contact with you just to finish off the outer areas of the reading there, because I feel that there would be a benefit to what we've just spoken about.
Yeah.
Now you've brought that, and I think it's really important in readings as well. It's really lovely when you do have that kind of flow between reader and seeker as well, because that just brings out a whole nother layer of reading, and you can benefit. I mean, I know people come to me sometimes and don't say anything, and then I just read for them, and that's completely okay as well. But the depth of reading that you get from this beautiful flow and conversation, it does really kind of bring readings even more alive, because it's animate in nature and breath. So I will make contact with you outside of the call. I'll be sure to kind of finish up the external parts of the reading, because I think that will be a great benefit for you. Is that okay, Lorraine? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So just mindful of the time, I just want to close down this sacred space just to allow all of the energies and elementals, guardians and ancestors just to kind of take a step back from the reading today. And so I'm going to call upon the spirits of the north, the west, the south, and the east, the guardian spirits of the sky and Mother Earth, Father Sky and Mother Earth, and the spirit and ether, and to Lorraine's highest aspect of self. Thank you for your service today and for providing us with a short and precise reading for the benefit of the group and Lorraine and others. We give you our love and gratitude and thanks for your service. Hail and farewell to all. The circle is always open. So thank you so much, Lorraine. I'm just going to take you off screen now, my darling, and I'll reach out to you privately afterwards. And how's everybody doing? So we're coming to the end of the masterclass, super fast masterclass. And I just want to thank you all so much for coming. Like, this is my sacred mission in life, is to provide avenues for people to explore that enable them to awaken themselves to their true human potential, which is through trance states, through bone readings, obviously to give the gift of insight and intuition to those who seek it, but also to be able to enable others to be conduits for this incredible energy and to enter into these deep states of trance, to be able to transmit, because of the healing benefit of this way of being is like, it it wakes people up. And I know that term's been bandied around, like, about people being awake or not, but this is actually a true somatic experience of us waking up to our own human potential and what's available to us outside of this ordinary realm in which our culture has been living in for, like, a couple of 500 years. So I want to introduce, I'm going to be starting a course on the 1st of March for those who want to deepen their practice. Um, this is a real heartfelt offering of mine, and I cannot wait to share it with people. We're going to get an opportunity over 12 weeks online, fortnightly live with loads of content in between to really delve into ancestral connections, sacred practice, creating sacred space, connecting to the sacred items, collating and growing bone sets, introducing you to these beautiful trance states, and holding space for you as you develop your relationship to the bones and your relationship to reading and ancestors, which is it's like a whole nother level of intuitive training, far beyond anything that I've ever experienced before. And I cannot wait to, I've come here to do this. I've come into this life to be able to hold space for my own development, but also to hold space for others to grow with, and to share in this incredible realm and world and deep connection and reverence with our experience here on Earth. And I'm not coming at it from any woo-woo perspective. It's just that people can have an actual somatic experience of the full potential that they have within them. If only they just tuned their bodies correctly, then they pick up the signal. And there's so much more to this 12-week training than just bone reading. It's a real immersion into somatic, personal, intuitive, magical, mystical development. In ways you've probably never experienced before. And I'd love to be able to share it with you. I'll send some details out after the chat, but just yeah, what it'll help you do is to be able to read for yourself, family and friends. If you're already an experienced mystic or reader, you can add it to your practice. It's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's possible, but it is incredibly comprehensive, 12 weeks. So because this is an introductory this is an introductory course. It's a foundational level, despite it being incredibly comprehensive. So the actual price of the course is 1,444, but and that is an introductory price. But I'm going to do one of the early bird specials because that's a thing and it sounds cool. But yeah, if you can book in before the 1st of February, then it's 1111, which is Australian dollars, which is 666 euros or £555. And there's payment plans available, and you can secure your spot with a deposit. Starts on the 1st of March. It's every 2 weeks live online. I'm hoping to set up a Mighty Networks community so we can stay off social media and we can just have our own community group where I'll be posting the rituals, meditation practices, presentations, and holding space for community growth and connection with some really cool, really intimate practices where we get to expand our ordinary senses. We'll be able to take you through practices that allow you to hear beyond hearing. We'll be growing more antlers and spending some more time connecting to the animate forces of our environment. Um, so if that's up, sounds like that's something that you'd like to join, or if you've got any questions, we are kind of running out of time. But if you've got any questions at all, my email is always in your inbox. I'm still navigating text. I'm sorry if you get too many emails from me, but I'll find a balance with it all. But I would really love to share, a 3 month journey with you. A nice slow immersion, but very deep in itself. Just that 12 weeks is to really kind of embody what it is that we're doing. It's not just a quick online course that you can read and forget about. You're going to be left with something that you get to take with you at the end of all of this, because it'll be an embodied journey. So yeah, I'll send you an email out if you'd like some more information or you want some more questions. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much for all your beautiful comments as well. Let me just have a quick read through. Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I'm really glad you enjoyed your experience, guys. Thank you. And of course, if you want to book in with for a bone reading, then please give me a shout. I work online or in person in Jundana, Monday to Friday, or online in the evenings or weekends. And what beautiful messages. So thank you so much. But guys, I'm going to let you go. I know it's late in some parts of the world and it's halfway through the day in others. I don't really know what to say. I'm really humbled by so many people turning up today and listening to me talk consistently for an hour and a half. But I do really appreciate the time and the space that you've held for me to be able to share this incredibly beautiful practice. So thank you so much. I look forward to some of you joining me on this course moving forward. And yeah, let's start an exciting chapter of bone divination and connect to the spirit of the bones and our ancestors together. So much love to you all. And I shall sign off now, and I shall see you all soon. Thank you. Bye bye, darling. Bye bye. See you all later.